Hey everyone, welcome back. As you can see, the title of this video is Daily Planning. And I know this sounds a little, elementary, but I feel like there's some things that I could be offering you to help you with your daily planning. Most of us are really good at the to-do lists and we create them and check things off and we feel really, really good at the end of the day. That's a good way to plan on a preliminary basis. But for myself, I prefer to plan more intentionally. Now, when I was this to-do list checker, I used to sit at my desk and write that whole list out. And I was like, oh my God, I have so much to do. But then as I was doing each of those tasks, because I knew I had all of these other tasks, next, I would start to get anxious and I would start to worry. And then my mind would start to wander. So the method that I've come up with now to reduce worry, to reduce that anxiety, is actually changed my whole perspective as I'm completing tasks for certain projects. So if you haven't caught on already, the previous video, scheduling appointments to myself, that is one of the tools that I use for daily planning. Now, if you haven't watched that video, make sure you go back, take a quick look at it, make sure you understand the concepts there, because if you don't have that foundation, this daily planning thing doesn't really make too much sense. So, how do I do my daily planning? Each morning, I get up after I have my breakfast smoothie and my coffee. I sit down at my desk and I do two things. I take a look at my inbox. I skim my inbox. I do not answer anything immediately unless someone has a dire needed question or whatever. But as far as I'm concerned, unless you need something by, 10 a.m. and, it's going to be the end of the world. If you don't ship out these million units and you need my answer right away, these things can wait. So I take a skim through my inbox, make sure there's no, glaring emergencies out there. If someone needs something from me during the day or needs it by end of day, I make sure to capture it right then and there. After I skim my inbox and kind of pull out the emails that I need to respond to or emails that are actionable items for me that day, I take out my Outlook calendar. And I start to make appointments to myself for each of the projects that I have to work on that day. I prioritize the stuff that I need to get done in order to move the needle forward on my projects first and foremost. Those are the very first tasks. Secondly, if I have any meetings, I go into each of those meetings and check for an agenda and check for a purpose. Because if I don't need to be on that meeting, I'm not going to be on that meeting. I will send you an update and tell you exactly what's going on so that you can report it out. And if anybody has any questions, they can contact me afterwards. But I do not attend report out meetings anymore. And I am I hold very firm on that. So after I take a look at and review all of my meetings, then when I have time between the projects that I need to work on and the things that I need to get done and the meetings, I schedule in time to answer emails, respond to voicemails, take a few moments to develop other strategy or be creative with some of the things that I'm working on. And really it helps make a cohesive part or a cohesive movement throughout the day. So for example, I wake up, I have 2 hours to write a technical paper, and send it over to whoever needs to review it via email. I have an hour meeting, and then maybe I have a half hour before lunch. So in that half hour before lunch, that's when I'm checking emails, responding, catching up on phone calls real quick. And the incentive to get that stuff done is to be able to go to lunch. So those tasks are done quickly and efficiently because I know that that's the way that's going to make me motivated to complete that task. So as I go through each of those, I know I have certain action items, completion goals for each of my projects that I can count on as they come up. So my brain is no longer wondering like, oh, am I going to finish this task? Or, oh, like, what about this thing that I have to do later? And this is on my to-do list, blah, 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 right? No, my brain is completely focused on that task at the moment, and I can actually really dive in deep and be better at my job, still getting all those checklists done, right? And if you want, another good way to do that is to make that checklist, then divide it out into certain chunks for what you need to do and what it's associated with each day. If I need a little bit extra motivation, I love my high performance planner that I got from High Performance Academy. Thank you so much to Brendan Burchard for having such a fantastic journal. This is not an ad. It's just something that I firmly believe in using. It helps me find my why. It helps me, define my clarity for the day. And it asks me interesting questions like, who needs me on my A game? And if I were a high performance coach looking at my life, what would it look like, from their perspective? So make sure you use my last video on appointments, and I hope this was helpful. I know that changing up your morning routine can be a little scary, a little bit difficult, and it's hard to create that habit, but give it a shot next week and see what you think. Seeing if you can now compound use scheduling appointments to yourself and the daily planning technique. All right, have a fantastic one.